Just welcome. We have 44 on the call, which means we have nearly half of the people going to Worlds on the call right now. And so the good thing is that you are the most insightful, knowledgeable people after this call than anybody else. And hopefully we'll have others that will chime in and actually listen to the call in the recording as well, which I know we just started the recording about 30 seconds ago. So the first thing we want to talk about is this is a condensed schedule. So we look at what is there for the event. There's not a whole lot of activity that's going to take place until we start moving into the latter part of the week. And so I know that a lot of people are arriving Thursday, which means we're not going to start a whole lot of activity before then, but we will have some activities that are going to take place as we get like into that midweek range, because some of you might show up early, and so we might be able to do some course rides and runs and swims with you on a Wednesday, Thursday, but the bulk of these activities and stuff will be Friday. The other thing, though, that we want to note is that as you move into a schedule for things that we like to build in, we also have to have our team briefings, right? So team briefings means we're going to be doing some things that we know will happen around the event. But there's also a team briefing, an athlete briefing in full for every athlete in the event that's going to be on that Saturday. So we're going to try to put our briefing on Friday morning. We're going to have a first timers briefing we're going to do around that as well, which are things you need to think about and look at. And as you move close to race day, what we call our first timers briefing, again, it won't touch on a whole lot of things because normally the first timer briefing is held on Wednesday, but with so few of you there by Wednesday, it just doesn't behoove us to put it on that day and have one or two people actually show up for that. The staff will be in place, ready to go by early Wednesday afternoon. Jeff, correct? We'll have most everybody booked to arrive by then. The staff will be chiro. So we have a chiropractor who will be able to do some things for you in case you didn't quite fly right. They'll be able to do some soft tissue work and whatever else around that. We'll have one massage therapist who will be taking appointments. Again, that is a requirement that we have you sign up for those. We would ask that because we have one massage therapist that we have you sign up for one massage. And then as we allow for everybody to get their bookings, if you want to slide in and get a second massage, say post-event, actually post-event won't be very easy because you're going so late on Sunday. But for those of you who are needing something maybe right before the race, we'll be able to work through a schedule with that. But we want to make sure everybody has a first right to get massage. It's $10 for 30 minutes. It's the only service that we ever charge for. And so that will be payable to Tony, who's going to be our massage therapist for the week. We also have a doc who's going, and the doc's main role is going to be essentially servicing, supporting anything that might arise for you as we move through the latter part of the week. We will have a great experience in our doc. He understands and has seen probably everything. So if you're feeling ill, feeling like you need some support, maybe it's allergies, maybe it's something that's related to a medical situation that you have, it's important for him to, number one, know that. Number two, for you to bring whatever medications you have so he can also assess that there's no cross drug issues that we're going to have with something that he may actually give you as part of his work with you guys in the final days leading up to the event. We will also have our mechanic there, and our mechanic will be the magic man. As I say that our mechanics, I've seriously, in the 80 plus world championships I've been to, I can't remember a mechanic that we've had who's not been able to solve a problem that's arisen, whether it be something breaks or you have issues with your bike and you can't get together. Unpacking your bike, yeah, we need to give it a shot, but our mechanic is there to really be full service, to do anything and everything that they can to help you move things along. So that will be a really, really solid opportunity for them to even bless your bike. Sometimes we joke around about that. If you have nothing wrong with your bike, you put it together, it's in working, operable fashion. You just need to maybe take it to them and say, check it out really quickly. And then Drew, who's our mechanic, will be able to work through that and make sure it's in working order. Okay. Obviously, Lindsay is going to be there with me, managing the team, and we will be anything and everything for you. We will make it work. If it's an issue that arises and we don't have answers, we'll find answers. If it's things that we need to run down, we'll run them down. We'll do anything, everything we have to do. We also have Jeff Manson will not be there as our travel lead, but we have Lisa, who has a lot of experience, has been engaged with USA Triathlon for over a decade, will be a perfect person to help with anything and everything related to travel, anything that should be pretty much sitting in the office and working with you guys on questions you may have or issues that arise too, that maybe she can communicate with us while we're out and about doing whatever we're doing, and we can get some things working together again as a team. That's essentially what this is all about. We have our support staff, then we have our manager leads, and then we have obviously Lisa, who comes in to help in many other ways within that office as well. Lindsay, Jeff, anything to add to the support staff and Lisa's role, anything else?
Yeah, I think there was a question about the mechanic. He should be ready to go by Wednesday afternoon. Depending, obviously, as long as flights go good and everything, they'll all arrive Wednesday morning. So we should have everyone up and running, Wednesday afternoon.
The one thing we'll say too is the recons that we do when it relates to the bike. One of the things we've seen happen is our teams are so big. Usually this team is 79 US athletes that we may split it up between two groups. It may be let's say a female group and a male group. We may take the males out in the early morning, we may take the females out in the late morning, early afternoon to get over the courses. We're going to kind of work through that. The issues that we've had by having groups so large, and I've never seen World Triathlon so mad as when we were in Lausanne, we had 400 of us, and we essentially took over every street road that we were on. And we learned afterwards that World Triathlon was so mad because they had people calling in saying, who are these people on my roads who are taking up lanes of traffic, who are running red lights, who are doing all these crazy things. And so we need to learn from those types of opportunities and say, okay, maybe our recons are too big. And so we split them up. We're talking about how that split will actually work. Some of that will be related to when you guys arrive, so that we don't have anyone that needs to get over the course, that wants to get over the course, doesn't have the opportunity to do exactly that. Any questions on schedule? Again, we're going to finalize this and have this out to you as soon as we detail a few more things from race management. We've been reaching out to them for weeks about what their final schedule might look like, so that we don't put anything on top of stuff they're already setting up. Okay. Some other things that really are important for us to remind you about, and that is, number one, start thinking about what you're taking with you. Make those lists happen right now. One of the worst things that can happen is for you to get overseas and realize, I forgot my bike shoes. What do I do now? Trust me, there's nothing we haven't seen, whether it be running shoes, racing flats, bike shoes, helmets, wheels. People have left wheels sitting in their home airport. They forgot to check them in. So we've heard and seen everything, which is why the inventory that you keep will allow you to reduce some stress, which we know is incumbent upon you guys to think about ways you can remove that stress. And one of them is to have that checklist to make sure you have everything you need to do before you depart. How about getting your bike serviced? That we talk about our mechanics being a pretty full service team, but they're not there to rebuild your bike. They're not there to clean your bike. That is really not their goal and intent. It's really to make sure that the little things are taken care of. It's to make sure that the things that maybe have broken, maybe it's a bolt here, or maybe it's an adjustment there. A lot of times your bars have that cone, right? Deep in the shaft, and you have trouble tightening that up without breaking it, and so on and so forth. So that's really where they're going to be. So make sure on that checklist, you have the ability to get it to a bike mechanic and have them look it over to make sure it is ready to go from what you want to actually see happen with the bike itself. Review the World Triathlon rules. And this is important. I personally need to go back and review the World Triathlon rules again. It's really been 2.5 years since I've looked at them, and I made an error in a presentation yesterday about, on the draft legal side, having the extended bars that you can take with you. That's not the case. You can't have the extended stubbies, as they call them, on your bars for draft legal. So I had to go back and apologize to our crew that was incorrect. So what we're going to do, instead of me saying, here's some things that are pretty common that you need to be aware of, we're going to simply have you query the rules that are on the site of World Triathlon. What you'll see is the most current set of rules. I think they're still dated 2020, but they should still apply. I went through them last night fairly aggressively. And so I have a pretty good feel. And what we will do too is we will have those most commonly misunderstood things with World Triathlon events and rules that we'll touch on as part of our briefing. And we'll go through some things you need to be cognizant of, whether it be how the officials are going to call the race, to what's going to happen if we have drafting or position violations and stuff like that. And so I'll ask you guys now to take a look at the 180-page document that's there and just file through the various areas where you think it might actually apply, just so you're somewhat familiar of what those rules might look like. The athlete guide, we've had some people ask us, when is the athlete guide coming out? If you've been to Worlds before, you know that every World Championship actually has an athlete guide. And this is really the nuts and bolts of anything and everything that they feel they need to communicate to you, that will present to you online. So we've pushed for that to happen, and we just got word back today that it would have been done sooner than now, except for some new COVID things that they haven't been able to finalize just yet. So one of the things that we're doing is kind of going back, and we actually created, Lauren Rios and I, about 5 years ago, the actual index for everything they should have in any athlete guide that any athlete around the world should get. And so they use that as the model in the first few years. And I think what's happened is they've made some assumptions that the other World Championship hosts would actually use the same guide. So what we'll do is we will ask, if you guys have various questions, and we know you're really good about this, if you have various questions that you feel you haven't seen answered, or that we won't answer without that help, that we're going to say, please be patient. If it's really high urgency and you really need to attack it, then reach out to us. But the athlete guide is going to be the place we're going to get most information. Most of the stuff we don't know. We don't know how they're going to do the swim starts, right? Exactly. We don't know how they're going to do transitions with the changing tents and so on and so forth. And so as soon as we get that guide, we'll obviously share it with you. We're going to read it like a fine-tooth comb, and then we'll have the answers in our brains, and we'll be able to answer things more specifically. And then we're going to build out an athlete guide for you guys that is going to be a little bit different than what World Team LSC would actually do, okay, for you. Because we have some other things we're going to cover as a team that we're going to put within our own guide. Again, we can't build that one out until we know what the actual World Championship guide is going to look like and feel like. Okay, everybody good with that? One of the things that we were able to ascertain today was one of the questions that Suzanne Mahler reached out to us about, and that is cutoffs. And this is one that is really sensitive, and it should be for people that, you get stuck in the latter waves, right? You're like, why do you put people that are sometimes more senior in the latter waves and create a cutoff and expect them to hit the cutoff, and everybody else gets to slide free because they're starting, how many minutes prior to that last wave? I've never seen that as being fair. I don't know why they do that, but they do. And so what we learned today was the cutoff is going to be as follows. Just so you guys know, we'll also put this in an email to you. 2 hours and 15 minutes to get through the swim. So the cutoff time is going to be 11:10. You have to complete the first bike lap by 3 p.m. The bike has to be completed by 6:55 p.m. The run start last lap must be completed by 10:55 p.m. and the run close, they noted, was 11:40, which is 15 hours and 30 minutes total lapse time. Okay, so you guys are aware. If you are an athlete saying, I don't know if I can reach that, if I can meet that, then just reach back to us and we'll have the conversation. We'll have some work that we'll do, and we may get Pat Casey, who's one of our coaches, to talk about with you some things you can do to best assure that maybe it's not as much of an issue as you thought. Again, we don't know a lot of this until we actually get a little bit more detail on the course, the winds are going to be coming from what direction, and some of those things as to what that time might be. For some of you, you may know I just can't hit 1540 regardless of what what is the weather conditions or the actual course. And so that'll be something we take into consideration as part of that conversation. Is it going to be a wetsuit swim? More than likely, it's going to be a wetsuit swim. The race director came back to me and said, yeah, it looks very, very likely that that's going to be the situation. And he just replied today. And so expect a wetsuit swim regardless. You're going to take your wetsuit anyway, correct? And move on it accordingly. That you can practice with if you want to practice in open water. If you got a new wetsuit, which I would definitely not take an old wetsuit that you know has been hanging on by a thread to this event. If you need to assure yourself of a wetsuit holding true through the entire event, invest in a new one and make certain then you try it on, you test it, and you have a feel for how it's going to feel and how you're going to be able to get it off and so on and so forth. Everything else you would normally do in prep. We also talk about communications and what we're trying to do. Yes, there are a lot more of these types of calls where we can give you information firsthand and hopefully answer questions as part of the calls as well, which is what we're going to do at the latter part of this particular call. But we're also looking at another way of communicating with you, really more importantly, as we get close to event week. It's called Slack. And I'm going to defer to Lindsay to talk a little bit more about how Slack will operate and what we'll expect from you as part of that.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so Slack is essentially an app that you will want to download on your phone, and we will be able to send, basically they're like text messages out to you guys. It's similar to like a group me. So messages will come to you via the Slack channel. It'll be a channel specifically for the Almere athletes. And any updates that we have, any schedule changes, just any information that you guys need to know, we'll push out through there. Like Tim said, this is going to be really valuable for us while we're actually on site in Almere, just with all, different changes, reminders that we want to push out, just so that we don't have to worry about athletes not getting the emails, or if you're not checking your email as much. We're going to utilize Slack. So how this is going to work is we'll set it up. We already have the channel set up on our end. And what we will do is we'll go in and we'll manually add the entire roster's email address into the platform. And then all of you guys will get an email to whatever email address we have on file for you, which we have whatever you paid the registration fee with, whatever email you used for that. So you'll get an email from Slack. Actually, it won't come from USA Triathlon. It'll come from Slack, and it'll just ask you to join the USA Triathlon Almere channel. And all you'll have to do is click join, and then it'll, ask you for your name and your email. And essentially that's all. It'll walk you through the steps once you click join. And then, like I said, we recommend that you download it onto your phone as an app. And that way, anytime a new notification comes through, it'll pop up on your phone. You can access it just like online, like on a computer, but the most effective way for it to work for you will be if you download it as an app onto your phone. So nothing you need to do yet. Like I said, you'll get an invitation via email from us, hopefully next week at some point. Just working with our IT department right now on getting all those emails uploaded into the channel, but you should get that invitation soon, and it'll walk you through the steps of how to join.
Hey, thanks, Lindsay. It'll be very easy, we promise you, and we will still communicate by email while we're there too, as a backup. But what we're trying to do is with things that happen late in the week, right? Some of you are like, I'm not checking email. I need to focus. I don't want to be distracted by what email might bring to my brain and get me off track in my focus for the event. Slack will not do that. We'll actually just make certain that it's high-end stuff. It's important stuff for you to know, so that you're in the know at all times, and you can track it on your phone, or you can track it on your iPad, or you can track it on whatever device you actually might have. So anyway, great explanation, Lindsay. Thanks for doing that. We're also going to talk a little bit about MedX, and some of you have been part of World Championships before know that MedX is probably the saving grace when it comes to having medical coverage while you're overseas. Some of you have been pretty insistent saying, I don't need MedX. I'm not going to purchase MedX. Why would I purchase if I don't need it? Well, one thing I do know is that there are some people that think they have full coverage and they get to Worlds and something happens and they need to go to the hospital or to a treatment center for some accident that's occurred. And they don't have full coverage and they didn't purchase MedX. MedX is going to cost you a little under $5 a day for you and whoever else wants to actually use it. It is coverage in the best way possible overseas, right? It's through the USOPC, which means USOPC is experienced with a lot of things overseas. They know it's the best coverage you can get, and it's going to cover you up to the limits that are described within the information that we will ultimately send to you to review before you make the commitment. That Lindsay's going to be sending something out very, very soon on that note. Again, MedX is for evacuation. It's for whatever cost you might get if you have to go to a hospital for something that's happened, and you don't ever want to have to use it, right? It's great if you never touch MedX, but if you do, it also explains how you, what you submit, what information you have to detail when you go to that hospital, or go to that treatment center, or go to whatever location or whatever means by which you have to get service support for medical issues that arise. Whatever it is that they actually need to get from you will be done through the MedX information that you have. So more information coming. We just simply wanted to make it part of this particular overview so that you're aware that this is an option as an extension of the insurance you might already have for domestic coverage, that this becomes an extension of international coverage. I've always been reminded by our people as an example that yes, we have coverage for rental cars as an example here in the US. I never purchased the extended coverage, right? Don't need to, but our team has been very clear. When you go overseas, you need the extended coverage. This is serving in a similar capacity when you may not necessarily have the full extended coverage that you need overseas from a medical perspective. All right, let's get into clothing. Lindsay, I'm going to kind of defer to you again on covering a little bit about where we are with clothing and last minute issues that might arise and how we're going to rectify some of those problems that people have already raised with you and with others within our office.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with the tri-suits. So I know there have been some complications and frustrations with Roka, and we do apologize about that. Luckily, going forward, starting in 2022, we will have a new partner, and so we won't have to hopefully have these issues next year. So if you still need a tri-suit for Almere, I'm going to drop a direct email into the chat, and you can actually contact Roka directly. I know we were having Roka contact the athletes directly, but they were taking a while to get back to you guys. And we know that this Almere is right around the corner, and so we are on a time crunch. So I am going to drop the email in the chat. And if you do need a tri-suit, please email Roka as soon as you can, and they will get you a tri-suit. They might be out of sizes of the 2021 design, but we have been told that they do have sizes from past years. So even if it's not the 2021 design, there is a suit available from a past year in your size. They did give us that confirmation. If they come back and tell you they don't, that is wrong. So reach out to us and we can work with them on that. And then for the parade kits, if you still need a parade kit, I will also drop that link and passcode to the USAT store in the link or in the chat, and you can go to the store, use the code, the Team USA code, and you should find all the pieces you need for the parade kit. We do know that the 2021 tech tee is sold out in most sizes. Unfortunately, they won't be restocking those, but they do also have tech tees from past years. They told us they have stock back to 2017, and so they told us that they have stock in every size. It just might not be the 2021 tech tee. So if your size is out for 2021, we do apologize, but you can get a tech tee from a past year, and you will be allowed to wear that at Worlds. Essentially, anything from 2017 and on, we're good with you guys wearing, as long as it's the Team USA parade kits. And for tri-suits, as long as it's a Roka tri-suit, you're good to go.
And I think what will probably accompany that mention, thanks Lindsay for that great coverage, is why do we need a parade outfit if we're not doing a parade and opening ceremonies and whatnot? Because we have our team photo we're still going to do, right? For many of you who will be on the podium, you need to wear it for your podium wear. We're also going to be doing some other functions in and around the week. You know, for our team meeting, we want you guys to come dressed because we're going to be taking some photographs during the team briefing and so on and so forth. So we really want you guys to look like you're from the US and be as uniform as we can be. You know, in the older days, people would say, wow, why is it the Americans look so ragtag? They got this and they got that, and they never look very uniform. And, you know, they were right. We did look ragtag. And that's why we've really pushed this whole idea of a uniform that we can walk around in and show our respect for our country and pride that we have to wear the red, white, and blue. And it becomes part of the photograph and the other things that are pretty cool as well. So that's the reason why we make that push. We have another thing that has been a commonly asked question as well, and it's the changing landscape of the pandemic. Some of you have probably been watching closely online the different shifts around the world that are happening. And so here to bring you the latest update information is Mr. Jeff Manson. Jeff, the floor is yours to do a review on where we are with COVID.
Thanks, Tim. Now the fun stuff, of course. So as many of you know, recently the EU and Netherlands has changed their guidance. I think it was on August 8th when they updated things to enter the EU and specifically the Netherlands. So I'll go over what it takes to enter the country and then also what it will take to get back to the US. So first, entering the country, if you're from the outside of the EU, which is us, the United States, you need to show proof of vaccination or proof of negative test within 48 hours. So I'll kind of review that real quick. So if you are vaccinated, that is definitely the easiest route to go, because then all you have to do is bring your vaccination card. It's important that you actually bring the physical card, because here in the US, we don't have a digital way yet like the Europeans do. So you'll need to bring that actual card with you. I would also, take a picture of it on your phone and bring an extra copy just to be safe, and maybe leave a copy at home as well. But bring that physical card. If for some reason you're not vaccinated or you lost yours, then you can still go, but you need to, it's a little more challenging. You have to either one, get a PCR test within 24 hours of your departure, or you can get a PCR test within 48 hours and then a rapid test within 24 hours. So those are your two options right there. If you're not going to go vaccinated, you have to get a couple tests, and they won't allow you in if you don't show your negative test or your proof of vaccination. The other thing is there's a health declaration form that you'll need to fill out. I believe you can get that online, and we can post that here shortly. Some of the airlines will also provide that you'll need to fill out. They're really simple, one page, just kind of making sure that you're not showing any symptoms. So you'll have to fill that out too, and when you get to the country, show that as well. So that's what it takes to get into the Netherlands. Now, on the return to the US, this has obviously been in place for quite some time now, is you have to show proof of negative test within 3 days of your departure. So the vaccination alone doesn't just get you back. You actually have to show proof of negative test. And I say 3 days. It's important to know that it's not 72 hours, it's actually 3 days. So that means if you're leaving on Monday, you could get your test as early as Friday, anytime Friday. It's not 72 hours, it's 3 days to give you a little flexibility there. So I will go ahead and post here shortly. The Netherlands recently just extended their window that they do free testing through the end of September. So I will post this shortly, but there's several locations in Almere that are within walking distance of the Best Western that you can get tested. Right now, it's a 2-week window for you to book your time. So right now you can only book, I think, until September 2nd. So once we get within 2 weeks of the event, or I guess 2 weeks of your potential testing date, that's when you can go ahead and book a time. So it's important. I would definitely jump on that sooner than later, as soon as you can book. So you can get a time slot at one of those locations near the Best Western. And so I think, again, they're like 15-minute slots, so there's plenty of them. And hopefully by the time you can book, the schedule will be out. And so you can kind of base your test off the schedule that comes out. So I will go ahead and put that link in the chat shortly. I will also make sure that we include this in our information. Tim and Lisa will as well. So it's just important to make sure that you don't forget to schedule that, so you're not stressing about that to get back to the US. It typically takes, I would give yourself 24 hours before your departure at least. I think you can do a rapid test, and that usually comes back within 3 hours. But I wouldn't cut it too close to your departure flight, just so you have that. I think that's the main points with regards to that. Yeah, and test sites are open on the weekends. I saw that question there, so that they're definitely available on the weekends as well.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Good coverage there. You want to touch on any housing availability and whatnot that you have regarding the packages?
Yeah, I mean, Best Western has availability with all the cancellations. So if anyone's looking for a room last second, we definitely have some rooms available there. It's about a 5 to 10 minute walk to the venue, so it's right kind of through the main heart of town. A lot of shops, a lot of restaurants, real nice, safe walk from the hotel to the venue. The train station is right across the street from the hotel. So if you're arriving obviously into Amsterdam, it's very simple. You jump on a train from Amsterdam airport. There's plenty of kiosks throughout the airport to purchase a ticket, find out what time the next train is, and you'll take that train to Almere Central. And that's where you'll want to be. And again, once you get to Almere, you will see the Best Western right across the street. It's one of the tallest buildings in the city.
And we'll actually send you the map that Jeff has broken out as well that shows you the most important thing. I can't believe you didn't mention this, Jeff.
For the ice cream shops.
The ice cream shops. You got to be located on map the ice cream shops, because we got to be able to frequent ice cream at least once or during the week. And so that is on the map. It's got 2 locations close to where we are. So you guys are looking for gelato or whatever, we're gonna be able to find them pretty easily. But that map will be something that Jeff's done some really great research around that. So he's pinpointed some restaurants and pinpointed some of the locations of the key things that we need to note. And it's really what he's done is he's mapped it out so it goes from the Best Western down to the race venue. So you can see in that space, not very far, a 10-minute walk, there's a lot of things you're able to do and see and frequent as you're doing that walk to and from. So everybody good at that? All right.
I just dropped the map actually in the chat, so everyone can have that.
Oh, great. Excellent. Thanks for doing that. And I know you dropped some
thanks, Lindsay.
as well.
Yeah, and I put the link there too for testing. So if you want to save that link somewhere, that's how you're going to go ahead and schedule your time slot for your COVID test.
Thanks, Jeff. And then I'm just gonna add, while Jeff was speaking, I added a brochure that kind of outlines medics that the USOPC provided to us. So I dropped that in the chat if you want some more information. Just kind of outlines everything that they cover. And then I also dropped in a payment platform. So if you are ready and you want to commit to however many days, you can do it 1 day, you can do it 5 days, however many days you want to purchase it for. Like Tim said, it's $4.75 a day. You can go ahead and purchase that. You'll purchase it through us, and then we will actually get your information over to medics and get you submitted, and we'll pay them directly, and then they will give us your actual card, and we will have that for you in Almere.
Okay. Other things that people have noted in the chat is, and I thought it was a really good idea, maybe we do the group ride. If we're going to make this split, we do it based on an average speed or pace more so than by gender or age. And so we'll certainly look at that as an option for what we could do. We want to make sure we have an even split for the 79 that are there. And so we want to probably 25 or 30 people per grouping as we go out on these rides. Number 2 was a place to do the pre-swim, and we'll get more information from race management on what the hours are going to be when we can actually be in the water. What pools are accessible for us, and so on and so forth. Number 3 is nutrition on course, which we will agree with you 100%. It's important for you to have that insight as soon as possible. And so even if they don't have the race guide completed for a while, what we'll go out and we'll prioritize some of the questions we can ask on one-offs of race management. And I think nutrition becomes one of those important one-offs that we would actually ask. All right, so everybody good with that? The other thing that is important, and this is really, really hard to do with a 500-person team, but with 79 people, we can do this fairly effectively. And that is, we're going to request from each of you what your arrival and departure times are going to be. And we're not doing that to be a nuisance. We want to be able to get a hold of you when and if things arise. If we can't reach you by phone, we can't reach you by email, we can't reach you by Slack, we can't reach you in other ways, that at least we can call you at your hotel if we need to get a hold of you for some reason. Okay. So part of the survey that Lindsay and I will work through in the next couple of days, we'll have when you arrive, when you depart, where you're staying, the hotel that you're going to be staying in, and then some other things around that realm of for medical purposes, reminders about what the medical lead will need to have from you on a basis. Well, we're not going to see that information, but the medical lead will get that information from you. We're also going to be asking for a headshot, okay? Because we want to be able to identify each other. And again, like 500 people, we can't do this, but on our info boards, it's nice to have the team with their headshots. So, oh, that's that person. I keep seeing them at the races. I didn't know who they were. And so the headshot will be something we'll ask for electronically as well. We'll place into a nice, cool format by age group. And so you'll know who your age group athletes are by look as well. Any concerns or issues around that? Hopefully not. One of the athletes asked us if there was country scoring. There is not, but I will tell you this, the Great Britain team managers and the US team managers are always betting on who's going to bring home the most medals or have the highest finishers. And so we do our own internal scoring, but there is no formal scoring done by the World Triathlon. The other thing that we want to close with before we get to some of the other questions is our communications. And if you feel that these types of town halls are effective and they're helpful, then we'll continue to have them. If you'd rather get written information from us outside of the guide that we'll send you, outside of the event guide we'll send you, then we won't have these as frequent. We don't want to kill your schedule with these, but we might want to consider having one 10 days from now as an example, and having another one maybe a week out before we really depart for the last closing minute discussions that we need to have, or topics that have arisen, or emergencies that are now prevalent and we need to figure out ways to work through them. So if you guys are supportive of what we're doing with these calls, we'll continue to have them. If you're not, we certainly don't have to have them and aggravate and irritate you guys with calls that you might not find prudent and helpful. Okay. Everybody good at that?
Hey, Tim, there's another question I don't think we hit on yet. Someone asked if there will be a place to swim in the days before the race, whether it's a pool or the actual venue.
Yeah, actually, I did pull that up. And
Oh.
what we'll do is that's okay. What we'll do is we will learn more from race management as to what the pools in the area are, when and if we can get into the water and whatnot. So we'll make that very apparent to people that obviously are going to need to swim at the time that they're actually there. So,
Great, thanks. And then one more question.
Yeah.
Someone asked if they can carry an American flag across the finish line.
well, here's the good thing, is that one of the traditions, long-standing traditions, is we will buy these little flags, right, with these sticks on them, that we will give to every finisher as long as we can get them to you, reaching over a fence line. Usually I will get into massive trouble with race organizers, and I'll sneak inside the course and try to find a location where I can find you. And then I get yelled at. There's one place in Spain, remember, Jeff, I was almost arrested.
Yeah, it was close. You were,
and it was
nearly
close. He was seriously going to arrest me, take me to jail, because I had scooted a barrier about 2 feet forward to get closer to the athletes so we could actually hand them the flags. He wasn't very receptive to that idea. But we will have flags that will give you, you'll be able to finish with full pride. In certain situations too, we'll have our big flags, and those are usually before the award ceremony. So you'll wrap yourself up, but we'll be on the east side of the stage doing handoffs to make sure that if you're a podium finisher, you have a chance to show your country colors as well on the awards podium. So yes, a great question, and something we believe in and we've done. And it's pretty cool to be able to cross the line with that American flag in your hand and American uniform on your body. Any other questions, Lindsay, you see hitting the chat?
Yeah, Do aqua bikers get to cross the finish line?
That's a really good question, because sometimes you do aquabike races. It's a makeshift finish line, right? Where it's not exactly what you're hoping to see and do. It's a little tougher to hand a flag off, right, to a person on a bike. But we, in the situation, if they set this up like that we've seen in other world championships, hopefully there's a way for us to still get a flag to you, and you'll still be able to support it. But what that finish line is going to look like, we do not know. We do not know yet. But obviously they've done the race before. I think it was, Trevor, did you put something in the chat about the 2019 race where you can actually see parts of the course and how they did maybe some of those things? And so I haven't had a chance to look at that YouTube video yet, but it will behoove us to probably all do that so we can see maybe if they had aquabike as part of that race, maybe how they did the finish. But we'll learn more from race management soon on that.
Thanks, Tim. One more I see. For people booking tours and excursions, how long ahead of time will they know when the group rides and swims are so that they can, schedule accordingly?
Yeah, you know what? It's really frustrating when we can't get a defined schedule. We have a rough schedule right now from race management, but I asked the race director this morning in a couple of emails that we sent to him, can you confirm that this schedule is not going to shift? And I didn't get a response yet, but if we feel like the schedule we have right now from them is firm, what we'll do is we will actually come to close on these scheduled rides next week. Okay. We have them slotted in places where we believe they'll be best. We've given extra time allocated to those times. The problem too is that we don't want to do too many rides and runs and swims before athletes show up. And so what we're going to try to do is get the survey out to you. We know when you're arriving into the venue, where you're staying, and then we'll be able to really more quickly establish what it is we're going to do with those rides and how big they're going to be and how many athletes we could perhaps see as part of the recon that we're going to do. So it kind of works hand in hand between race management and then what the survey results will actually tell us, and which the survey that Lindsay and I will do will hopefully get put together, say maybe tomorrow and maybe early next week, get it sent out to you guys. All right. Anything else?
One final question. Can you please reread the cutoff times, Tim? Someone missed them.
Yeah, and we'll put these in the next update as well. The cutoff times are going to be 11:10 swim cutoff. Bike lap 1, 3 p.m. Bike 6:55. Run starting your last lap 10:55. Run finish 11:40 p.m. We'll put those in the update as well.
Thanks, Tim. A couple more coming in. Is the large event ban in the Netherlands predicted to be lifted after September 1st, or does Worlds have an exemption, or kind of what should we expect from that?
Yeah, matter of fact, that was one of the first things we asked race management when they had it established at the middle of the month, right? We've been told that we are clear and void of any type of closure or shutdown by the country. That will happen. Again, they're telling us that because they want us to come, right? So what we'll do is we'll lean on what they're telling us, that they have an exemption built in because it meets the threshold of protections by the government because of impact on economy and stuff like that. We'll see if that actually holds true, but I'm really, really, really confident that we'll be able to race based on the confirmation and detail we have received from race management and from World Triathlon, who said this race will go on. A Bermuda race will go on. We're not talking about a Vila Spain yet. We're not talking about Extra Madeira Spain yet for crossroad worlds, but we will take those month by month, but for sure, we're going to have this event and Bermuda more than likely.
Thanks, Tim. An athlete asked, what is the suggested day to arrive?
Well, I've said this all along that I like you getting there earlier because it allows you sort of to breathe and not be stressed, because what happens when you arrive, right? You have the jet lag. The jet lag, this is the craziest thing, and it's nothing that we can do anything about, because if you will ever be able to follow this, for every time zone change that you have, you need 1 day of prep, right? And it doesn't apply. It doesn't work for us because we're not going to be there Probably that, and 8 days before the race or 9 days before the race, unless you're going there for other things. But to the extent that you get there on a Wednesday, you sleep, again, you go to bed at night like you normally would, according to the time zone that you're in. You get up Thursday morning, you feel a little bit better. You're a little shaky, a little tired, a little groggy. Friday, you feel back to normal again. You're ready to race come the weekend. The problem with you showing up, again, this won't change some reservations. The problem with showing up on Thursday is that Thursday is the day you arrive. You're really tired. You sleep maybe horribly because you're waking up in the middle of Thursday. Friday, you're feeling groggy. Saturday, you might be turning the corner. Guess what happens to happen on Sunday at a race? It creates added levels of stress when you're worried about how you're sleeping or not sleeping, how you're going over the course and do all these various things you need to do to prep for the race. And it just hurries you maybe to the extent that you're not comfortable. Every person will be different. Every person's jet lag situation is different. What I would certainly do is have you guys research different things that you can do to avoid jet lag. It'll be in our update that we send you too. But jet lag is something you need to really tackle as part of this whole process of how soon do I arrive, how late do I arrive in the week. So, but what we would encourage you to do is at least be there by Thursday at the absolute latest. Come ready for activities on Friday, whether it be recon, whether it be team meetings, whether it be walkthroughs, everything that you're talking about. We're really going to be hitting hard as we get Friday, Saturday, and then into the race day on Sunday.
Great. Thanks, Tim. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Okay.
The chat.
All right. What we'll do is I'm going to go with the assumption, Lindsay, you can be my read on this too, that if there's a nod of heads, thumbs, you guys want to continue these calls? Yes. For updates, answer questions. Okay, perfect. We're going to continue to do these. We will not make them too frequent and drive you crazy, but we will certainly, we'll get a feel for what the flow of questions are that are hitting us. When we get the race guide, we'll obviously have a call after the race guide shows up because we'll want to walk through some of the key things within that. We'll just try to segment the calls so that we're doing what we need to do to communicate with you the information that you might not otherwise read if you're running short on time. So we will make that happen for us. We'll have another call, maybe in the next 7 to 10 days. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Go Team USA. Good luck in your prep. Stay healthy, stay safe. We will be in touch very shortly. Thanks, everybody.